In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the attention crisis in kids. Why are so many kids now being diagnosed with ADHD? Does screen time have anything to do with it? And what's the difference between ADHD and attention problems? Let's start with ADHD. ADHD diagnoses in kids have been increasing dramatically over time. As of 2022, there was an estimated 7 million US children aged between 3 and 17 years with an ADHD diagnosis. That is approximately 11%, or 1 in 9 children. Kids with ADHD are more likely to perform poorly in school, struggle with emotional regulation, experience difficulties socializing and making friends, and transition from one activity to the next, such as turning the TV off to start their homework. Think about all those mental processes that help us plan, organize, remember, regulate emotions, and direct our attention to long-term goals. People with ADHD have difficulties with these processes, essentially with their brain's management system. So what's causing this rise in ADHD in kids? First of all, ADHD is thought to be caused by a combination of genetic, neurobiologic, and environmental factors. But it's mostly genetic. Family, twin, and adoption studies show that ADHD tends to run in families. Its heritability is estimated to be approximately 74%, which is considered quite high. But there are other explanations for this sharp rise in ADHD diagnoses, both in kids and adults. First of all, better awareness. Back in the day, when thinking of ADHD, we used to just think of little boys who couldn't sit still in their seats. This means that a lot of people who had ADHD but didn't fit into this little boy category were less likely to be diagnosed. We now have a much better understanding of ADHD, including what it looks like in both girls and adults. So, for example, adults with ADHD might struggle meeting deadlines at work or remembering appointments. Girls with ADHD are often more likely than boys to present with inattentive problems, such as daydreaming or appearing quietly distracted in class. Better awareness makes it easier for people to recognize symptoms and seek professional help. Next is stigma. Back in the day, people were more likely to feel ashamed or embarrassed about an ADHD diagnosis. Today, there is endless content on ADHD on social media and YouTube, including influencers talking about their own experiences with ADHD. This has helped a lot of people feel less embarrassed about ADHD and therefore more willing to seek professional help. Now, what about screen time? Are kids more likely to get ADHD if they watch too much Cocomelon? As I mentioned before, ADHD is mostly genetic. That said though, there is increasing evidence that excessive screen time can increase the risk of attention problems in children. What's the difference, by the way, between ADHD and attention problems? Attention problems simply refer to difficulties staying focused or concentrating. Almost everyone experiences attention problems from time to time, especially because of these things. ADHD is different. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder in which difficulties with attention, impulse control, and sometimes hyperactivity are persistent, begin in childhood, and are significant enough to interfere with everyday life at school, work, home, or in relationships. Now, let's go back to the question of whether too much screen time can cause attention problems. Technically, we can't prove that excessive screen time causes attention problems in kids, because ethically speaking, we can't randomly assign kids to either a low or high screen time group just in case excessive screen time really is causing damage. But what we can do is determine whether excessive screen time is associated with an increased risk of attention problems. This study looked at a large population-based sample of 3,455 children from Canada. Children were assessed at age 5 for average daily screen time and attentional problems. The researchers wanted to know whether excessive screen time in preschool is associated with worse attention problems. And of course, they did control for other variables that could be playing a role, such as sleep, socioeconomic status, and parental stress. They found that compared to children with less than 30 minutes of screen time per day, those children watching more than 2 hours a day were almost 6 times more likely to report clinically significant inattention problems. These children also had a 7.7-fold increased risk of meeting criteria for ADHD. Interestingly, there is also that a lot of kids' content now isn't just designed to be entertaining, it is deliberately designed to be addictive. That means that it could be a vicious cycle. Imagine this, a kid getting hours of screen time each day. Over time, his attention span gradually gets worse. This leads to him having less patience for reading and playing with his toys, and because of his shorter attention span, he starts preferring more and more screen time, resulting in his attention span continuing to get worse over time. Let's take a close look at what screen time for kids looked like in the past and what it looks like now.
Hello, Lulu.
Hi, Bananas!
Do you have any odd jobs that have to be done, Lulu?
We've just been doing some out in the street.
Well, that's very convenient because we've got a wibbly-wobbly stool.
Oh,
We better have a look at it, B2.
stand back, Lulu.
Hello, little fireflies, shining oh so bright. Hello, little fireflies, dancing through the night. The moon is in the
Kids' brains are naturally wired for novelty. It's what motivates them to keep learning. And it's basically why they get really excited about basic things, such as rainbows, puddles, funny faces. Fast-paced kids' shows are like novelty on steroids. This is why kids tend to go into this weird trance whenever they watch these highly stimulating videos. What about screen time and ADHD? We can't exactly say that excessive screen time is causing ADHD. However, considering how digitally overloaded we are these days, it is very possible that all of these digital distractions are making ADHD symptoms so much more obvious and problematic. But this shouldn't be surprising. Even those of us who don't have ADHD often talk about how distracted we feel these days because of our phones and constant notifications. Imagine how much more difficult it would be for a kid with ADHD. Is it all doom and gloom though? If you have a kid who has a poor attention span or ADHD, is there any hope that things can get better? The answer is yes. We know that there are things that affect our attention span which we can control. Things such as putting the screen away, getting better sleep, and doing things that help with lowering stress. Setting rules and goals can also help, such as a rule for getting homework done before it's dinner time. There is also that, thanks to neuroplasticity, we know that the brain is capable of change. You can improve your attention span, and you can help your child improve his or her attention span. It just takes consistent practice. This is a systematic review that looked at whether cognitive training can help improve ADHD symptoms. Specifically, it looked at improving ADHD in children and adolescents. And because it's a systematic review, it basically reviewed a lot of research studies on this topic, 22 to be exact. What is cognitive training exactly? The tasks used for cognitive training can vary quite a bit, but essentially they're brain exercises, such as the end-back task. In this task, the child has to identify whether the current letter matches the one immediately before it. These are tasks where you need to continuously pay attention, and which challenge your memory. This review found that 17 of the 22 studies showed positive improvements for ADHD symptoms. This led to the researchers to conclude that cognitive training can be effective for improving ADHD in children and adolescents. If you're a parent of a child with ADHD, understandably, you might be reluctant to ask your child to do the end-back task every day. Remember, the important thing is finding an activity where your child has to continuously pay attention, and ideally it's something that your child will enjoy doing. Examples include art, making jewelry, taking up a musical instrument, trying out a new sport, or building with Lego. And lastly, there is this concept in psychology which I think is worth mentioning here. It's about fostering what's called a growth mindset. So rather than saying things to your child that encourage a talent mindset, such as, wow, you're so talented, or wow, this is so amazing, you can try saying things to your child that help promote a growth mindset. So for example, wow, I love how hard you worked on this. Or, it feels good to make progress, doesn't it? In a way, I hope this video has been helpful. Be sure to leave your thoughts and experiences in the comment section below.